So
trying to give myself too much credit.
For our newer listeners to the show, we have a couple of different styles of show. We have some core episode shows. Those are shows number 1 through 9. And in those shows, we go over the 6 core adversities that you're going to want to overcome in order to be successful at your business that you plan on starting or that you've newly started. Outside of those shows, we have some guest episode shows where we bring on guests that have also started their own businesses. And we talk about the successes and failures that they've had. We have general business shows where we talk about general business topics. We have Q&A shows where we answer questions that have been submitted to us. And if you have questions you'd like to submit, you can send those to askmitch@mitchsmedley.com, and we will get them and we will answer them. And if they're good enough, we will make a show about them. And then we also have a Beyond the Void shows, and that's what this show will be. And that's where we let some of the business stuff take a rest, and we talk about some of the more social or political topics that are going on. And we try to kind of wrap your head around, like, as a newer business person, how to think about a lot of these topics as they pertain to business. Sometimes we do pretty well at that. Other times it just turns into like a political rant. So you never know where a Beyond the Void show may end up. So.
I was thinking about, I've told you this before, like maybe when I retire, I was thinking like maybe someday I'll run for Congress.
Right.
Or like try to make a difference in my community.
Right.
And then I think about like my blunder at the beginning of this show. And I think this show is either going to help me in that area or completely destroy all hopes of me ever doing something like that.
Who knows?
I can't tell.
I mean, if
like, are they going to like pull them all up and be like, look,
you got to have a little bit of dirt on you to be a president. So,
oh, you got to have some.
Yeah,
like you have to have 10% baggage.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think there's like in politics, you're going to hit like a ceiling where unless you can like kill the innocent dog. And I'm using that as like a metaphor, but like unless you can, get a little blood on your hands in some way, shape, or form, you're not going to ever cross that ceiling. Like they got to see how hard you are. So
okay.
You notice a lot of high-level politicians have some of that dirt on their hands, and I think that's why.
Oh, maybe I'm good.
Yeah.
Look, he can't speak. Well, Joe Biden can't speak, and that guy's president.
Yeah.
So, maybe the blunders on this show help me. I don't know.
American can be defined in one word.
This guy's just a fucking jackass.
The other countries are just quivering in their boots right now.
I mean, what I don't understand is, like, when the campaign was going on, and he like wouldn't come out of his basement.
Right.
Like, or do debates or do this and do that. And everyone was saying, he can't do that because he's not fit. And they're like, no, he's going to be the president.
He's fine. He's just got a stutter.
Somehow he gets elected, and now it's like, oh, all those people were right.
Yeah.
He's a complete baffling moron who doesn't know anything.
They've made a chalk memorial for him at where he tipped over a bicycle. Somebody wrote, like, on sidewalk chalk, Joe Biden fell here, or Joe fell here, or something like that.
They should have, put a plaque down.
Right.
Joe almost died here.
Yeah.
Like, we wish he would have. Like, that's just what the plaque says.
I just want to buy him a motorcycle. Like, dude, you figured out bicycling, let's level it up.
Yeah.
Motorcycle.
Hey, got you a 600. Let's see what happens. Look, when you're scared,
skydiving trip.
When you're scared, take the right handle and gun it.
Yeah, twist it.
As far back as it'll go and see what happens. Just lean back. You'll be fine.
Lean back.
Point it straight. You'll be fine.
Stare at that big tree and don't stop until you miss it.
It's such a shit show.
The interesting thing is, like, the media refuses to admit it. And the media is saying, things that just flat ass aren't true, but you're starting to see a lot of Democrats lose faith in their elected leader.
Yeah.
Like bad.
You know what? And you know what's messed up? So they're losing faith, but I don't think he's actually making the decisions. They're just, he's the scapegoat right now.
Well, in full transparency and in full honesty, I don't think the president themselves makes as many decisions as we like to give them credit for. Good presidents, bad presidents, or whatever. I mean, it's a collective effort, and the president's power's limited so much, right? So, like, out of the gate, you see a lot of executive orders. they can run those plays. But you get a couple of years in, and I'm not excusing any president's behavior. I mean, they're still running the ship, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, so much of what a president says didn't come from their brain, right? It's written for them.
Except for maybe Trump, because he just said whatever the hell he wanted.
Yeah.
I'm not so sure. Like, I've read articles about, like, hey, you know, he was supposed to read off of these cue cards, he was supposed to do this, and then he was like,
screw that.
Like,
right?
he read the first two and then just, whatever.
Yeah. I mean, typically, and this is what I'm kind of most bummed about, typically your Democratic presidents are more eloquent behind the podium and they speak better, right? Like Clinton, amazing speaker. Obama, amazing speaker. Like, they just, the way that they deliver the message kind of...
Yeah, the way that they lie to you makes you feel warm inside.
You feel better being lied to, right?
Yeah. Oh, man. He just makes me feel so good, even though I know he's just BFing me to death.
Yeah, but, like, I mean, Trump was not very good at... Like, now, what he was saying was okay, but, like, I'm just talking about, like, the delivery method, the way that they... He just...
And that's why he didn't get. That's why he didn't get reelected.
Yeah,
because women hated his guts.
Yeah,
like
because he would call it out like it is, and he wouldn't sugarcoat shit.
And that's why I think that's why I like him so much.
Yeah, he would tell you your ass looks fat in those jeans.
Yeah, he's brash. I'm brash.
Right,
and that's how I like to get information.
Right,
but like personally, that's a humbling moment for me to realize, like, when you put two and two together, I liked his brash. And I'm brash, and then he didn't get elected, and now I'm like, oh, maybe I'm kind of a douche too.
Right.
You know, like, maybe I shouldn't say things like that all the time.
Yeah.
You know, but that's just, you know, that's my character, so I don't know.
I mean, we need that.
Sometimes.
I mean, like you're not supposed to fall in love with the president of anything, right? If you work at a large company, chances are you don't like the president of that company.
No.
Right?
No, you want to shoot him with a paintball gun naked at 10 feet.
They're asking you to do things that you don't want to do all the time. They're asking you to, they're asking more of you than you're probably comfortable, you know, contributing. And so, like, very rarely do you ever like, on a personal level, the president of anything. And so, and that goes all the way from, like, homeowners association presidents all the way to nation presidents.
Weren't you a homeowners association president?
I got duped into being the HOA president of our neighborhood.
Let me just say a few things before Mitch gets too far into it. All of those guys are douches.
Yes.
Everyone I've ever met was a douche.
So
I'm saying that as one of Mitch's probably oldest friends.
Yeah.
What were you thinking?
So
I had no idea the show was going to go this direction.
That's fine. Our HOA has 2 directors and a president. Technically a vice president, a president, and a director.
Well, let's tell the truth. When you were how many homes were in here?
We were half full.
Like 2?
Yeah.
2 homes. They were like,
175 in the neighborhood, and we were like between 75 and 100. So.
Oh, more than I thought.
Yeah. But so you have 3 elected positions in our HOA.
Oh, they were elected?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's elected. They take this shit seriously.
This gives those soccer moms something to do during the week.
So nobody liked the previous board before I was duped into becoming president.
Quit saying duped. You loved it.
No. You
wanted to love it.
So the previous board, like, my neighbor down the street was building a fence. And we have rules, like your fence can only be 4 feet high. It can't be a 6-foot privacy fence unless you have a pool. Well, he didn't have a pool, but we have a lot of rock in our neighborhood. And sometimes you can't sink a fence post all the way, right?
Yeah.
And so they're literally setting all the posts. And some of the ones that they couldn't sink all the way because they hit rock, they would leave them high, right? Yeah. And so then you put your horizontal picket, you know, the boards.
Yeah, and then you just go cut them off.
And then you just go, take a string line or a laser and cut them all off, right? The previous board literally hung a violation notice on this guy's door because a couple of his posts were over 4 feet tall. The project wasn't even done yet, and they were giving him a violation notice because it's already out of alignment with our covenants and restrictions. And
I see, and that's why So I used to live in a neighborhood, but we didn't have an HOA.
Yeah.
And I knew that I was like, when we moved to that, I was like, we can't live in a neighborhood with an HOA.
Yeah.
And then we moved out of there, and she's like, where are we going? I was like, to the country.
Yeah.
Where no one can tell me what to do.
Yeah, right.
Because literally, I would have been out there, I would have took that, I would have went to whosever house that was, and would have been like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Right. So they would do shit like that all the time. A lot of people in the neighborhood have golf carts. They tried making it a policy that you couldn't park your golf carts on the grass near the pool. Our pool parking lot only holds 8 cars.
Yeah.
And it's a neighborhood with 175 homes.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's a tiny ass parking lot for a pool.
So there could literally be 100 cars there.
There could be.
At any time.
Right. And so people would ride their golf carts up and park them in the grass to save space for people that don't have golf carts and drive their cars up.
Yeah. That's being a community.
Yeah.
Like,
that's
hey,
being neighborly,
you know
being
what? Yeah,
considerate, right?
For the people that have to drive a long ways and can't walk or don't have a golf cart, we'll leave them the spaces.
But because they felt like they're in the position to make rules, and if they weren't making rules, then they weren't doing their job, so they're just going to make rules wherever they wanted to.
So basically the problem with all government?
Yeah. They were like, oh, I don't like golf carts parking on the grass. Why? Like golf carts are made to be driven on grass.
Yeah.
Right?
They have grass tires. I mean, they don't kill the grass.
That's like what happens on a golf course.
Yeah.
Like, holy cow.
They can tear up the grass.
So when you challenge them, they would come up with some of the craziest explanations ever. And the explanation they came up with was, well, we're worried that they might damage a sprinkler head. And I've told them, I'm like, yeah, because how have our sprinkler heads ever survived mowing? Like, literally every week, there's a mower driving on the grass, up and down, back and forth, all fucking summer long.
What else you got?
Yeah, like,
what else you got?
On.
Let's think of something else.
Again, another decision the previous board made is they changed the locks on our pool, and the new locks were not ADA compliant. And so a person with disability that didn't have good use of their hands,
couldn't use it.
They couldn't get out of the pool. They would get stuck in the gates, right? And when they were challenged on that, like, hey, we got to get different. We can't have knobs. We have to have levers. Because, and my neighbor 2 doors up is disabled and can't work a doorknob. And so we were like, no, we need levers. We can't do knobs. And their honest to God reply was, because we're a private entity, we don't have to abide by HOA. Or we don't have to abide by the Americans with Disabilities Act.
Yes, you do.
And
like if you would have taken them to court, they'd have lost their ass.
Outside of the fact that, you probably do, my reply was, yeah, but we're a neighborhood and we're neighborly and we make decisions that are in the best interest of the neighbors. So shouldn't we want to
help the neighbor be nice?
Yeah. Like make our pool accessible to everybody. And then they were just odd. Right. So anyway, long story, even longer.
Yeah.
Because I was so outspoken about our previous HOA group, whenever, every year you have to get reelected or elected, right? And so they were like, hey, why don't you nominate, like, are you cool if you get nominated to be on the board of the HOA? And I'm like, I don't know much about HOAs. I just can spot them doing tons of shit wrong. And so I'm like, sure, like, I'll be on the board.
Narc.
Right? Yeah. So I'm like, I'll be on the board. Well, there's only 3 people that can be elected. The board is the president, the vice president, and a director, and that's it. And so there were a couple of other people that were okay being nominated. All 3 new people got voted in. All 3 of the old people got voted out.
Of course they did.
And so then the prior people were like, they were all pissed. They were in it for the power, right? Well, a lot of power. Yeah. And so they were like, one of you has to be president. And so while I'm still like looking around like, holy cow, did we just like completely remove this whole board? That's kind of cool. The other 2 guys were both saying, not it, on the president role.
Not it.
And fingers to noses, exactly. and pointing at me. And so that's how I got duped into being HOA president. But here's the cool thing. For the year that I was HOA president, we ended that year with more money in the bank account than ever, because we weren't like giving our friends discount. Like, we weren't giving our friends that own a mowing company the mowing contract for the neighborhood, which is fucking huge. Our tiny little neighborhood has 11 acres to mow. Yeah. That's fucking huge. And so we weren't giving our friends the mowing contract and then inflating the price so our friends got rich off of it. we didn't hand out a single violation letter to anybody in the neighborhood about anything. If we were made aware of something,
you just went and talked to them.
We did the neighborly thing, and we went and rang on their doorbell and had a conversation with them and asked how we could help them, right?
Yeah.
So, like, while I was president, somebody's yard in the neighborhood got, like, way overgrown. Like, I'm talking like 2 feet tall, right? That doesn't usually happen. So I'm being screamed at by the prior board to say, like, you need to go give them a violation letter and blah, blah, blah. And
I'm like, why don't I come over to your house and burn it to the ground?
And I'm like, hey, I'm going to go have a conversation with them. And so I went and had a conversation with them. The lady's husband's on hospice. He takes care of the yard, and he's dying, right?
Yeah. Did you go back to the board and those people and say...
No, I didn't even give them the time or care. I went to our neighborhood Facebook page, and I said, hey, we've got somebody in the neighborhood who their husband's on hospice, doesn't have much to live. Their yard could use a little bit of attention. I know a couple of people in the neighborhood have mowing crews. Like they own little small mowing companies. So I'm willing to chip in and pay. If I'm sure other people are willing to chip in and pay, can we get their yard mowed? It's getting pretty
Someone
tall.
probably just ran over there and mowed it real quick.
Yeah, somebody goes over there and mows it real quick, right?
5 minutes.
Somebody
don't
else,
worry about the money. I got it.
Somebody else in the neighborhood had 2 trees where the builder, like, left them with dead trees, and the builder was supposed to...
Like drop
the dead trees before, and they never did. And these people had a special needs kid. They didn't have the funding to pay somebody else to come in and drop these trees, and so they were kind of in a tailspin. They were still trying to get their builder to do it. Again, same thing. Prior board was pushing me to, like, give them a violation notice. Another quick post on our social media page. Hey, anybody in the neighborhood with some chainsaws want some free wood? It's dead. Like, you could burn it this year if you want. Sure enough, within, like, 2 days, neighborhood shows up, cuts down the trees, totally free of charge, no violation notices needed, and additional relationships formed in the neighborhood. Like, that's how you handle that shit.
Yeah.
So that's my long story, even longer, about getting duped into becoming the HOA president.
I'm going to draw it out even further. I can't believe I'm going to say this. That's the problem with real politics and real people that want to be in power and want to be controlling.
Yeah.
They have tried to... The state governments made the federal government to help with certain things.
Yeah.
But the state government goes to the community, and the community goes down to the neighborhoods, and those people take care of each other.
Yeah, and your school boards and everything else.
And if these governments would just get the fuck out of the way, and these people that want to control every little thing and want to be in power would get out of the way, guess what? We can take care of ourselves.
Yeah.
We're just fine without you.
Well, so the full story there, like the full view, full circle part of that is the next year, whenever it came time to, like, re-elect or elect new people or whatever, the prior board, they went, so the old president of the HOA, he was a highfalutin, he thinks of himself as a highfalutin attorney and judge.
Tell me where his house is before I go. Later off the air. I'd just like to know.
Yeah. So he went through all the bylaws and the rules of the neighborhood and everything else, and he found that he could, like, so the rule is you could only vote if you were in attendance to that one annual meeting. You had to be in attendance, one vote per lot. He went beforehand and got notarized proxy votes that allowed him to vote on their behalf at his discretion for whoever happened to be nominated that day. And all of this legal documentation, like, it was like a 4-page document for every household that he was representing, and he was representing like 17 of 75 households. Okay? He voted himself back in as president. He literally, like, elbowed over to his buddy, and he's like, hey, nominate me. Okay, I nominate you. Oh, ironically,
no one's here.
No, like, he votes himself back in as president.
Wow.
So, yeah. So I'm like, I don't care. Like, see ya. Thank you. You know, I was not enjoying this at all. Like, you think you've, like, pulled one over on me, but you've actually done me a favor, because I was really hoping I didn't have to do this another year.
Yeah.
And then, like, 9 months later, after he was trying to go right back to his old shit again, nobody knew this whole proxy vote thing. Again, because it wasn't like a bad blood thing or anything else. Nobody knew this whole proxy thing even happened. The only people that knew was the prior board.
Yeah.
And so after he was causing some more bullshit and non-neighborly stuff in the neighborhood, I went ahead and took the opportunity to let everybody in the neighborhood know exactly how he became president again. And within 48 hours, the entire board resigned. It's fucking hilarious. It's like, oh, funny. When the truth comes out about how corrupt you are, like
it's politics 101 on a very small level.
Right.
And people just like,
and I will say that everyone on that prior board was a certain political party, and they were very outspoken about it. So
about being a bunch of Democrat losers.
They were very much anti-Trumpers for sure.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure.
Yeah.
They want control. Yeah. That's the problem with the Democratic Party. They want control all the time.
Yeah, they don't want what's right.
They don't think that we can control ourselves or govern ourselves. Yeah. They think that they need to lord over us for some reason. I don't understand what personality disorder that is, but it's a disorder.
Yeah.
And they should all be shot.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned.
So it happens on small scale just like it happens on large scale.
Unbelievable.
So
I didn't know all that.
Yeah.
I mean, I knew that you were president for a while.
Yeah. Didn't want to be.
Is that guy still live in the neighborhood?
I don't hear from him much lately. He is morbidly obese.
Of course he is.
When I say morbidly obese, I mean morbidly obese.
So he can't control his own life. That's why he wanted to control everyone else's life.
Maybe.
That guy needs psychotherapy.
He got COVID real bad and was in the hospital for like 5 months.
And everyone in the neighborhood was like, woo!
I mean, I'm never going to wish death on anybody, but I was surprised.
I didn't say death. I said everyone was like, woo, he's gone for a while.
But I haven't really, I know he came home from the hospital, but I haven't really heard anything about him since.
Is he still the president now? Because this was a while back.
No, because he resigned. And
this has been a long time ago.
When that whole board resigned, then the neighborhood came back to the prior board, me and the other two guys, and said, hey, can you guys step in and be interim until we can hold another
Find somebody
election?
That gets it.
And the other two guys said yes, and I said, fuck no. Not only no, but hell no.
I was almost out, and you pulled me back in.
You totally redeemed yourself. No, at that point, we were motioning into starting the business. We had already made the decision to start the business, but we hadn't started it yet, and all of this. And then they asked, at the election time, at the annual meeting where it came time to vote in another group, I was you get nominated, but then you have to accept the nomination for it to become official.
You're giving them the finger.
And they nominated me again and said, we'd really like you to be president again.
Did you say, you know what, is there a stipend?
And
if there's a stipend, maybe I'm in.
I told him, I said, I'm getting ready to be really involved in something else and I won't have the time, so no.
Peace.
And then a month and a half later, we started our company. So.
Yeah. So now that we've burned 20 minutes talking about Mitch's HOA experience,
hey, it's real life politics on a level that you can affect change. So I would seriously, as much as I hated it, if you have the opportunity,
you did a good job and you enjoyed it.
Yeah,
you enjoyed helping people.
It was on a very small scale, my civic duty to affect my community the best way that I had within my power. Did I want to do it? No, but you shouldn't want to be president. You should be president because you've got a good, you stand to be a good president.
You should be reluctant to be.
And that's the problem with politics.
The moment you want to be president, you probably shouldn't be one.
That's the problem with politics.
Yeah.
There needs to be term limits. It needs to be like back in the old days. People were, upstanding people in their community, and they were like, okay, I'm going to do my civic duty, and I'm going to go do my part, and then I'm going to be done.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think Donald Trump was probably a mix of both. I need to do something, I want to do something, but I love the power.
He's got the ego.
And people looking at me, too.
I don't think he liked the power. I think he liked the ego. I think that's more, there's a difference there.
Yeah. There's a huge difference.
Yeah. I think he just liked the attention.
But he affected change.
Yeah.
He didn't just go in there and wasn't like, well, I'm gonna raise a bunch of red flags and make a bunch of policies, I'm gonna do this. No. I'm gonna try to right the ship in my limited window.
Right.
And then if I get 8, I'm out.
Right.
I love how the president can only be in for 8 and has to be voted after 4, but then these Congress people and senators can be in for fucking
Meanwhile,
ever.
Nancy Pelosi can spend 50 plus years in there. That ain't right.
There's a special place in hell for that bitch.
Yeah. I don't know what it takes to put term limits in, but
it has to, you have to have Congress.
It has to go through Congress, and they're never going to vote it
in. Dude, there's about to be some afflicted change here in November.
Hopefully.
I think people are really sick of this shit.
Yeah, we need it. We need it bad.
I don't know.
Did you see? So we got midterm elections coming up, and they're going to have an effect on how the outcome of 2024 elections.
Did you hear what's happening in Missouri, or what they think is happening in Missouri? And I'm the show that I'm not going to say who it is, but they've said it a bunch. So there are like 1, 2, 3, 4. There are 4 or 5. I think there's 5 Republican senators in Missouri. Okay. So they're in the primary right now. Okay. So in August, I think it's August, is the primary vote, and then whoever wins gets to take on the Democrat, right? Or whoever else runs.
Right.
Okay, so there's these 5 guys. Well, now all of a sudden, there's an independent that's running. Literally just like last week said, hey, I'm going to run. Okay?
Keep talking. I'm going to look this up.
This guy is friends with the Bush family. The Bush family from St. Louis, okay, has a Democrat that they were friends with running in the Democratic, or the Democrat primary, okay? And what they think is happening is this independent, they're making this independent run so that they can pull votes from Republicans and get the right, quote unquote, my fingers are in the air, the right Republican to run or get elected in the primary so that they can defeat them come the November election.
Okay.
And this has been I'm not a huge conspiracy theory fan. I've said it on here on the show all the time. I think they happen. How much of it's true, how much of it is just people talking about crap back and forth. But this is like the 3rd state that I've heard about this. I don't even know what to call it. Style of misrepresentation, I guess, that they're doing to try to get the wrong Republican elected so that they can get a Democrat or independent elected when it comes to the general election.
I gotcha.
During the primaries. Does that make sense?
So, yeah, they're staging it all the way out.
They're staging it as far out as they think they can.
Right.
Well, what's weird is, so the Bush family is obviously Anheuser-Busch, Budweiser.
Okay. Right.
Okay.
Right.
This Tracy Bush something is the Democrat that's running. Well, the person that is putting up this independent used to be a Republican, has been best friends with this Bush family since like the 1800s. So they have all this St. Louis-backed money now nominating an independent 2 months before the primary is supposed to happen in Missouri.
Gotcha.
And this apparently has been, I know it just says, has been happening in states before this.
Yeah.
And they think that's how they have been getting so many Democratic congressmen and women elected, even though we all really know that that's not what the country wants.
Right.
They've been manipulating elections to get there.
It looks like this guy's name is John Wood.
John Wood, thank you.
And he was actually on a committee for the J6, the January 6th committee, former January 6th committee counsel to run as independent in Missouri.
Yes.
He identifies himself as right of center, and he thinks of himself as the type of Republican who was common in the party prior to the rise of Trump. He called Ronald Reagan one of his political heroes. He believes the U.S. Supreme Court was right in its decision to overturn Roe v. Wade, and would have voted for the bipartisan gun deal that passed last week. He left prior to that voting. He believes that the Republican candidates in the race are too extreme, and he doesn't want the state to elect a Democrat that would vote for U.S. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer and support Biden's agenda. So
what they're trying to do is get an independent in there to water down what's happening.
So is this a good thing?
No, I don't think so. I think it's manipulation. I think it's big money. What I don't like about it is, just like Zuckerberg during the Biden campaign was throwing $400 million, $500 million, $600 million.
Right.
This is the same thing.
You think they're trying to split the Republican Party is what you think they're
yes.
doing. So we saw that in our own mayoral race here in town. Our current mayor in our town, I mean, he's liked enough that he's been reelected for mayor. However, he was not overly liked.
No.
And so there were two prominent people that were trying to run for mayor. And what happened? And these two prominent people were very, very similar in their thoughts and very similar in their disagreements with the current mayor's policies. However, they both ran into each of them ran a strong enough campaign that 60% of voters, 65% of voters voted not to elect our current mayor.
Yeah, they split the vote.
65 or something, like 5% went with this one person that didn't even stand a chance. The other 60% went with, like, split down the middle.
But that ain't enough to win, baby.
And then the one guy that the minority wanted in got like 31% or something, like just enough to hold the seat, when it was painfully obvious that as the masses, we didn't want him in. It's just the other two guys split it far enough. And you're saying that's
basically what they're trying to. They're basically trying to do the same thing. And I bring that up because I think the Republican Party, as far as dirty politics go, is way behind the eight ball.
Yeah.
I think the Democratic Party has been doing this stuff for years and trying to manipulate from the inside about. And look, this sounds like conspiracy theory crap, but it's not.
Right.
Okay? The dog is, I don't know what your dog's doing in there. He's
my gunner dog's jumping on the bed.
I don't know what he's doing. But I think, it sounds like conspiracy theory crap, but it's not. I think that's what they're doing to win these elections.
Yeah.
And then when you see, like when Biden's, I don't know what his approval rating is now, but it's like
single digits.
Yeah. I mean, his disapproval rating is like 68%.
Right.
How you're telling me that people are still voting for Democratic policy?
Right.
It's impossible. So how are they winning? And I think it's tactics like these that are helping them win. They go in and do all the research and they win these key small areas.
Yeah.
And it helps them to maintain a certain amount of control if they're not, 100% in control of what's going on.
Yeah.
It's crazy to me.
And that's the weird part about politicking is all of the posturing and positioning and strategical plays that you're doing to manipulate the population into gaining a seat. And it's sad that happens. And if it wouldn't happen, we would probably have a much better government.
Of course we would.
It just sucks that it can happen like that. It's just weird, some of the rules that we allow and some of the stuff that we don't allow. Did
you see that thing in Arizona that's going on?
What's that?
When you speak of rules, I don't mean to interrupt you, but so they have Arizona passed a law that says when you vote, you have to prove you're a citizen.
Right.
You have to have a federal ID.
Okay.
And the DOJ is actually Department of Justice is actually going after them and suing them and say, no, you can't do that. Why can't you do that?
Well, they try to make you feel that it's racist to ask somebody for their ID.
Well, no, that's not my point. My point is, why are they doing that? They're doing that to allow people that aren't citizens,
non-citizens to vote.
First off, citizens should be the only ones that are allowed to fucking vote. You should have to pay taxes and be a citizen. And listen, I'm not one of those people that says, look, if you're an immigrant, don't fucking come here. If you're an immigrant, come here.
Do it the right way.
Do it the right way. Get your card. Pay taxes like the fucking rest of us and vote for whoever you want.
Yeah.
Okay? But don't come here illegally and boof the system and expect all of us to, front the bill for you to be here.
Right.
And then think you're going to slide one over on us.
Right. Yeah, it's easy to get excited about a candidate who is enabled you to be in the system or be in the country illegally and is offering you all this free shit. You're like, oh yeah, let's vote for that guy, right? Like that's a pretty hand me. They're just literally handing that vote over. But yeah, they try to convince you that like asking for IDs at polling stations is somehow racist, as if there is one race that is more likely to have an ID than another. But yet they don't ever consider that whenever they're asking for IDs to buy alcohol or buy cigarettes.
Got to buy cigarettes.
Or to
alcohol,
license your car.
A gun, license your car. Regular things.
Yeah.
When I sign up for Sam's Club, I gotta give them my ID.
Yeah. So
just so I can be a Sam's Club or a Costco member.
Right.
And now all of a sudden that it's awful. You can't ask people for that.
Yeah. Like
what the? Yes, I can.
The fact that the general public allows that, like that is not a thing in Missouri. Missouri, you have to have an ID.
Yeah.
They will not let you vote without it.
You either have to have your ID or your card. And the only way you're getting your card
is with an ID.
Yeah, because they're mailing it to your house, bro.
Yep. And so like the idea that the general public allows that to become a thing is scary.
Well, what do you mean by that? Because the general public doesn't allow that to become a thing.
Well, they do, because like you can't make those measures without putting it to a vote to the public, right?
Well, so I'm confused on what you're saying, I think. So Arizona says, hey, you have to have an ID. And everyone is like, yes, you have to do it. But then the Department of Justice, a federal organization, is like, no, you can't do that.
It's still the People's Department of Justice. So
do you think the Department of Justice is actually run by the people and the people that are in it? Or do you think that the people over them are like, hey, you need to be fucking controlling these?
Well, what I'm getting at is like, that's not a problem here. So the people of Arizona need to be holding their own state more accountable and saying, other states require IDs, so figure your shit out.
Well, they're going to take them. They're going to court over it.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But like, if you think so say we didn't have that in Missouri, and we decided like just this last year, they were like, no, we're going to require this, and then all of a sudden, so we want that. Mm-hmm. The DOJ comes to us. It's still a problem for us because we now have to go to court. The state has to fight to get that,
But I mean, on the long enough timeline, things go through the Supreme Court and usually turn out okay, right? Like Roe v. Wade went back through the Supreme Court and was overturned, right? Like that's the right thing to do. Put the power back in the hands of the states instead of the national government.
And then if the states want to have a vote in their state, they can.
Yeah.
They can say, hey, okay, you know what? We're going to let whoever's in this state, we're going to let you vote on what we're going to do.
Right. And that's
now,
really the way.
They're not always doing that, which I think they should.
Yeah. Well, and that's really the way it should be, right? Like, California, their demographic is greatly different than Missouri's, right? Well, I have a choice. I can live in Missouri or I can live in California. I can choose to live in the place where I see myself fitting in the best. And so, I wouldn't go move to California. I don't think I would enjoy it there. And so I choose not to. But, if California offers abortions and Missouri doesn't, I can make the choice to go live in the state that I want to support in that. Like, that's the way America should be.
Yeah, and it's just like, so Kansas right now still allows them.
Yeah.
It's 30 minutes from us. Or 40 minutes. If it bothered you so much, you could move to Kansas and it not affect you a whole lot.
Or if you had a rational brain at all,
you just drive.
You could think back, like, how many abortions am I planning on getting in my lifetime? Is it really worth moving to Kansas, or do I just need to make that drive when that need occurs?
Yeah.
Like,
what the big argument for all of them is, for those of us that can't afford it and blah, 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 and this and that.
Yeah, you should be keeping your legs fucking closed if you can't afford an abortion.
Well, I was just going to...
Let's just say that.
I was going to translate that to, so like in New York, they were like, oh no, we're going to do this and we're going to do that and blah, blah, blah. Well, guess what? People moved from New York to Florida. You think that's cheap?
Yeah.
That's a long fucking ways.
Yeah.
Okay. And they were like, you know what? Fuck you. We're moving.
So
don't say, well, I can't do this and I can't do that and I don't want to do this if you don't like it, move.
Yeah.
Get the fuck out.
So what's funny is, the Supreme Court overturned the vaccine mandates and the vaccine requirements, right? All these businesses were trying to require vaccinations on their employees. And they were... Which is illegal.
Yeah.
Right?
It's completely
And everyone
illegal.
knew it was illegal. And this was the play of the
and they were still pushing it as hard as they could push it.
And it scares me that people didn't see through this. You've got all the Democrats screaming vaccine mandates, knowing, like hell, Nancy Pelosi was on camera saying we can't require people get vaccinated. And then 2 months later, she's saying we're going to require people get vaccinated. Like, she knew you can't require it. But what they also knew was we can tell people we're going to require it, and we can tell people there's going to be a deadline.
And then half of them will just do it.
We know the Supreme Court's going to overturn it at the end. However, how many people will get vaccinated in the meantime, because eventually they'll have to?
Yeah.
They got millions and millions and millions of people to get vaccinated because they were going to lose their job if they didn't.
Yeah.
And then they flat ass lie to your face and say, we didn't force you to do it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you just told me I'm going to lose my source of income if I don't do it. How is that not being forced?
Yeah, and listen, I'm not like a vaxxer or anti-vax. Like, my wife got it, and it was her choice to get it.
Yeah.
Hey, but you want to get it? Get it.
Yeah.
But I don't want someone coming to my door and saying, you got to fucking do this.
Yeah, exactly.
With no proof,
Yeah.
This is
This is America.
People forget this is America.
Right.
You can do what you want or not. This is the freest country in the world. And when you start telling people, no, you don't, no, you have to do this, or no, you can't do that, or no, that's why what drives me the most insane is when people say, you have to do this or you have to do that, and then they also say, now I know the Constitution doesn't say that. What?
Yeah.
The Constitution is there for a reason.
Yeah.
And then people's argument is, well, these are different times, so we should change it.
Oh, like on gun control?
Yeah.
When they try to say that it only applied to muskets?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You know what? Guarantee if George Washington could have had an AR-15, he'd have been smoking motherfuckers with it, okay?
Well,
so let's not pretend
At the time that happened, the people had the exact same weapons the government had. Right?
Yeah.
That's where that rule came from. But if you want to apply that logic,
we should have full auto at any time we want.
Well,
or bazookas, or fucking warplanes,
tanks, right?
Or we should be able to get whatever we want.
If you want to apply that logic, that it didn't apply to the advancement of society and the advancement of weapons, well, maybe the First Amendment only applies to quill and pen. Maybe the First Amendment doesn't apply to fax machines, emails,
TV,
social media, TV, internet.
Oh, that's a great point. Did you steal that from somebody? Did you come up with that?
Like that's how awesome the founding fathers were.
That's a short right there. If you don't put that on, that's your ass, Austin.
I mean, if you can't pick and choose where it applies, right? So, like what we were starting talking about how they're saying you're going to lose your job if you didn't get the vaccination, but then they say, well, we didn't force you to get it. Okay.
But it was government manipulation.
Right. Well, now they're acting like the states that are going to, there's going to be states that ban abortion, right?
Yeah.
So now they're acting like those states are forcing you to have a kid. No, they're not. They didn't force you to get pregnant, right? And they didn't force you to remain in the state while you were pregnant and say you can't go to another state that allows abortions and go get one.
And that's what makes this country so great, is so that
you have the freedom to do that.
Yes, you have the freedom. If you don't like something here, you can go here and get it.
Yeah.
Or you can go here and do this. That's what makes this country great. Anytime you try to lump everyone together, you no longer have the freest country on the planet.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
Which is why I have always said, this has been my mantra, okay? I don't think, oh, man, I'm slippery slope. Abortion drives me crazy.
Right.
Okay? If you get raped or there's incest or your life's in danger, I think you should be able to do whatever you want. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay, I think you should be able to...
We've talked about this. I have a very open stance.
Yeah,
I can see both sides of it, and I'm not in a position to have to...
Because it's the freest country on the planet, okay? What I don't like is when you use my tax dollars to do it, because I wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't think you should be able to use tax dollars to do it. That's my red line in the sand.
Right.
But I also think you shouldn't tell me what the fuck to do when I want to go buy an AR and shoot it for fun and have it for my protection.
Right.
I'm not telling you what to do. You shouldn't tell me what to do. Keep all of our tax dollars out of it.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the freest society. You know, it becomes a slippery slope. If I want to go to church and worship, that's my business. If you want to be in a satanic cult, that's your business.
Yeah.
Okay, the only way that everyone can be free is for all of us to let each other do those things.
Right.
And when you start telling everyone has to do X or Y or everyone has to do this, then you're in trouble.
Yeah.
That's why the states should have the choice. If you want to live in a state that allows it, live in that state.
Yeah.
If you want to live in a state that doesn't, live in that state.
Right.
And leave me the hell alone.
Yeah. And if you can't if you can't afford to move, then level up yourself as an individual, save the fucking money and afford to move. Like, no one's telling you can't move. You've made the choice to have the finances that you have that are preventing you from moving.
Yeah.
So if it's really that big of a deal, figure it the fuck out and move.
Yeah.
That's all there is to it.
Yeah, I love how people are always like, well, I can't afford that new car. And then I look at them and they're smoking a pack of cigarettes a day. Well, in this day and age, that's like $250 a month.
Yeah.
You know what? If you quit doing that, you could do this.
Yeah.
And that's a personal choice that you have made.
Yeah.
I'm not telling you can't do one or the other.
Yeah.
But don't pretend like it's someone else's fault that you have made that choice.
Don't ignore your personal accountability.
Yeah. It's just like, so a guy I worked with the other day was like, so Mitch knows what Nip-X pliers are. Mm-hmm. Nip-X brand, they're awesome, right?
Yeah.
They're
got 3 sets of them in my tool bag.
They're triple the money of any other set of channel locks.
They're worth it.
Like when you go to Home Depot and you buy a junk repair for $15, a set of Nip-X is $45.
Yep.
I ride the junkers. I don't give a shit. Okay.
Yeah.
But the guy I'm talking to is like, dude, what are you doing? I was like, I don't need that fancy stuff. I can't afford it. And I was just joking. I said, I can't afford that fancy shit. I just use these. And he looks at me and goes, that's a personal choice, right?
Right.
He's like, you could.
Yeah.
Instead of having 2 pair, you could have 1 pair. Or instead of, wearing those work boots, you could have a set of cheaper work boots and you could afford. Yeah. Everything is a personal choice.
Yeah.
I hate that everyone always tries to label it as it's the government's fault or it's this other group of people's fault that I'm doing this or doing this. This is America. You can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Personal accountability, personal responsibility are the only things that drive you forward.
Yeah.
No matter what you're doing.
If it's that big of a deal to you, you're going to put a plan together and you're going to do it. Right?
Yeah.
You want to start your own company, you're going to put a plan together and you're going to do it. You want to get a better job, you're going to put a plan together and you're going to do it, right?
Yeah.
If you're going to, how many people want a job that requires a master's degree? And so they put a plan together and they go get their master's just to get a job. And you're going to tell me that same mentality doesn't apply to the fact that you can't move across state lines to a state that better aligns with your values?
Yeah.
I mean, holy shit.
It's insanity.
Yeah.
It's just freaking insanity. And this whole thing of just the government control, and what I don't understand is for some reason it seems to me that people want that government control. I don't know if they feel it's a safety net. I don't know if they feel it's a great equalizer. I don't understand. What we should have is less government and more self-control in our states or in our small communities.
So removing government requires a higher level of personal accountability.
Do you think people are just lazy or stupid?
People don't want to hold themselves accountable. And so
Peter Pan syndrome? They all want to be kids forever?
Maybe. But, I mean, that's, this whole push for the metaverse and you'll own nothing and be happy about it and all of this kind of shit.
Fuck you, dude.
Right.
I'm going to take all your shit while you're on a video game VR for 3 days.
There are people that actually interests them because they want less responsibility. They want less accountability. And so if there's some universal basic income that allows them to live a life where they have no worries, they'll ask to be governed harder.
First off, universal basic income is a joke. Let's talk about that. People have forgotten.
It's a joke, but I can see a very realistic pathway to where it shows up.
Well, I have a two-part answer. First off, the only way that works is if people work and pay taxes. Mm-hmm. Okay? So if no one's working and they're just sitting at home, basically it's welfare.
Yeah.
So if you're just on welfare and no one's paying in taxes, it just snowballs into no one works, no one pays taxes, everybody's broke. Okay?
Right.
We're all fucking homeless.
Right.
Second part of that is, if there is a way for people that want to go get some and want to work, that percentage is dropping drastically. You and I know that.
Yeah.
Right? So are you telling me that 15% of the population is just going to rule the rest of them? Because you know what? I might be okay with that because I'm a go-getter.
Well, you keep in mind.
And
you keep in mind, though,
I'll do
the whole population gets to vote. And so the scary thing is when the lazy, the population of the lazy becomes larger, now you have a lazy, large population that is incentivized to vote for things that further enable their laziness. And so you get these people that are like living on this COVID money, right? Now that's kind of old and dead by now, but you get people that are living on COVID money, they're going to keep voting for things that give them more free money. And like, hopefully they can see the ramifications of that. Hopefully they can see the price of gas and inflation and the price of food.
Well, but
and
media
everything
lies
else.
to them and says, hey, no, the COVID money wasn't. That's not what helped spur inflation.
Yeah.
The fuck it didn't.
Right. I mean, you already got flat ass burned on your taxes whenever Biden was giving you your child tax credit early in $500 a month. And then
for FYI, I invested all that money we got.
Yeah, well,
which wasn't a lot.
and then you go file your taxes and you ended up owing because they gave you your child tax credit early.
Yeah.
And that really fucked a lot of people.
Was I supposed to? I got to pay taxes on?
Right.
Yeah, dude.
Right.
You do.
So anybody who can't see through that, like, there's not very much hope there. And the farther you put them down in that position, the easier it is to control them. Because the more they start relying on the government, and so the more they're going to vote for things that give them more free shit. And then it just slowly erodes.
It snowballs.
Yeah.
You just start out small, and the next thing you know, they control everything, and it's too late.
Yeah.
I'm thinking that right now we're at a breaking point. Like in November, I think we're going to know like where people in the country actually stand. I'm not. So like a month ago, I was 100% convinced. I was like, people know where we're at. They see the bullshit. And then the more I think about it, the more I realize how stupid people are. And they're like, man.
Right. So that is what I feel like the midterm elections that are coming up. Like if these go south, I think it's going to be many bad years for America. I think you're going to see inflation go crazy. I think you're going to see gas prices go crazy. I think you're going to see house values go wrong, like go down. I think you're going to see interest rates go up. You're going to see everything that could force a percentage of the population to further rely on the government. You're going to see all of that happen. Leading up to these elections, these midterm elections, what I think you're going to see is you're going to see more quote-unquote mass shootings, right? And there's that loose definition of what is a mass shooting, right? If two gangs go at it and shoot each other up and kill 15 or 20 of each other, is that a mass shooting or is that gang violence? I would call that gang violence. But, the media is going to say guns were involved, more than one person died. That's a mass shooting.
So you're telling me you think that they're going to be pushing this? They're going to be. We talked about this just a little bit before the show about the polls that say what people are really worried about.
Yeah.
And I thought that the Democratic Party was going to be really pushing the abortion issue. Like, hey, abortion. If if we want to get back in, you got to vote more Democrat.
Right.
And then you told me no, that's like zero.
Yeah. So there, and I don't know the poll, but. They had a list of like what things matter coming into these midterm elections, and the answer of I don't know ranked higher than abortion. And so
you think they're going to try to go to gun violence next?
Well, that's how low on the radar people are with abortion. It's kind of hard to care about abortion when you're paying $5 a gallon for gas, your grocery bill's doubled, your rent's gone through the roof, and like you're paying more for everything under the sun.
Dude, it's just like, so in '08, when we had the recession, literally people were losing their homes back to the bank.
Yeah.
Right now, people are worried.
Yeah. Yeah,
people are worried because we are not even a year away from a lot of people losing their jobs.
Yeah, and their houses.
Well, and then their house goes.
You look at how many people bought these houses at these overinflated prices.
Well, you don't lose your house because the housing market tanks. You lose your house because you lost your job and you can't pay the mortgage anymore.
And when you bought a house at 25 to 45% higher of a higher value than what it should be. And so now your mortgage is 25 to 45% higher than it should be. Now your mortgage is harder to afford.
Well, it's only harder to afford if you lose pay.
Exactly.
So if you lose pay, yeah, you're screwed.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're still making your money, you're fine. Your house is worth less, but you can ride that bubble out. Janine did it, and I did it in '08.
What I think is going to happen to the housing market, because you've got a lot more individuals that have bought houses and they rent them out. So, like, people who own the home that they reside in, that number is shrinking a lot.
Yeah.
Right? So, what I think is going to happen is rent prices are high right now. Home values are high. You have a lot of individuals that have started businesses where they're buying houses and doing the BRRR method. And then they're renting that house out and then refinancing that house and taking all of the equity back out of that house and putting it into another one, right? Well, all of that plays fine as long as rent values stay high. Well, when everything starts crashing, and if rent values start crashing and people can't afford rent, well, now you've got one guy who might own 12 houses that he's done through the Burr method, and now rent values tank. He can't pay the mortgage on 15 homes. He's not worried about losing one. He's worried about losing 15.
Yeah.
I think that's where you're going to see the real estate thing crash.
And it could.
First.
And I don't like the Burr method just because, like, the whole theory there is you buy the house, you rent it out, and then you refinance it, take that money to buy the next house.
Yeah.
Okay,
it creates a potential domino effect.
I like the buy the house, rent it out. Don't refinance that house. You want to pay that house off as quickly as possible.
Right.
And then if you have to wait to buy the next house, then you do that.
Yeah.
I do not like, there's two methods in this crazy America we live in.
Yep.
It's mortgage everything to the freaking hilt and take every dime you can.
Yep.
And then there's the pay for cash method.
Right.
Which is pay everything off as fast as you can and then try to make it on your own.
Right.
I prefer that method because if everything's paid for, you're scot-free.
Yeah.
You owe no man nothing. Or if it's down far enough where you have to refi it out a little bit and lower rents to keep a renter in there, you can do that.
Yeah.
The bank's not coming to your house saying, okay, son of a bitch, here we go. Where's our money?
Where's our money? Right.
Yeah, we're taking your shit right now.
I do want to take a step backwards here for a second. The mass shooting thing that I was talking about that I think you're going to start to see a lot of coming into midterm elections. The key thing is you're going to hear about every time more than 2 people are shot.
Oh, yeah. You're already hearing about it.
But the key thing that I think you're going to hear, and you're going to actually see it in the headlines, is the gun was purchased legally. You're going to hear those words.
Yeah.
Because what they're trying to go after
is change the legal statute at which you can buy a gun.
Yeah. Because it seems that before the default was this crazy guy stole a gun, or this criminals don't abide by the laws, so the laws don't really need to change because they're not abiding by them anyway. And so what you're going to see is the media really pushing that the gun was purchased legally, and it still resulted in a mass shooting. So we do need to change the laws at which you can buy a gun. And
or try to get rid of certain guns. And let's talk about it. It's on topic, but off topic. And we had a whole episode about this. I have a lot of Democrat friends, and I have a lot of super left friends,
right.
not just immigrant. You don't need a gun. You don't need this. You don't need that. And I've said it before on the show. The reason we have guns is to protect ourselves from a tyrannical government.
Yeah.
Okay? It's not so that I feel like a badass. It is not so that I, quote unquote, just have a lot of cool guns. It's so that if something hits the fan, we're prepared as a society.
Yeah.
Okay, that's why the Founding Fathers put the Second Amendment in. Okay, and what I always say to them is, what if Trump got reelected? I think I said this 2 shows ago. What if he got reelected and then people wanted him to stay in and he overran the government and he was a dictator?
Yeah.
Wouldn't all you left motherfuckers wish you had guns?
Yeah.
So that when there was a revolution, you actually had a chance?
Right.
That's why we have guns.
Yeah.
Okay? That's why we carry guns, to protect ourselves from nutbag governments.
Right.
That's why we have them.
You go look into, like, take COVID as a small example.
Ask the Chinese if those people wish they had guns over there.
Yeah.
Because they're getting they're getting shit on every day by the government. Ask them if they wish they had guns.
Ask Australia.
Yeah.
Like, they were literally not allowed to leave their house.
Yeah, for 6 months.
And there were people that were getting arrested for not wearing masks outdoors while they were drinking coffee. And the police would argue that you were drinking too long. You had too much time in between sips. All of that kind of crazy controlling government happens when the citizens can't fight back.
And people say, and when you say stuff like that, people say, well, you know what? It was a pandemic and we needed that.
No, we didn't.
But that's not my point. When you give them 1 inch, they take another.
Yeah.
I know the saying's 1 inch, take a mile.
Right.
They take another inch.
Yep.
They don't take a mile. And then they take another inch. And then they take another inch. And next thing you know, they're standing on your fucking neck and they're not letting you do anything.
Yeah. And they're going to take inches that they know they can't take just so they can take it long enough to prove a point until they're told they can't take it anymore, which we saw that with the vaccine mandates.
Yeah. And hopefully it doesn't get... Look, I don't think that it'll ever come to this, but... when they start taking inches and taking inches and taking inches and taking inches, you have to be able to stand up for yourself.
Right.
And that's what the Second Amendment's about. Yep. I do not think, I'm not a conspiracy guy. I don't think there's going to be another civil war. I hope there's not another civil war. But that doesn't mean I'm not going to be prepared.
Yeah.
You know what? I shouldn't say that. As of right now, I do not own any ARs. Just telling y'all, I don't own any. But if I was out there and I was one of you guys, I would have 3 or 4.
I'm never gonna. So you'll never see me like I can't stand the guys that are like, oh, I lost all my guns in a boating accident and all that shit. Like, no, that's cowardly. Like, own them up. Tell them how many you have.
I don't have any.
Come and get them. Right? Like, like. You may lose that battle, but America would win that war if they ever tried to go into anybody's home and take weapons from them.
Yeah. The first guy that fights back is a patriot.
Yeah.
He's the first real hero.
Right.
He's going to die.
Yeah.
Or he may die later, or he may go to court. He'll be the first real patriot of this century.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, coming fresh off of 4th of July. It literally happened because citizens had guns.
Yeah.
And we gained our independence because citizens had guns. So,
and now it's protecting that freedom. It's not trying to gain freedom.
Yeah.
It's protecting what we have built. People forget that there have been millions of people die to create this country.
Yep.
Through
and to sustain it.
Not just through wars, tens, hundreds of millions. To make this country great, and then people are going to try to shit all over it.
Yeah.
Well, there are a lot of people out there, like guys like us, that are like,
not happening.
Not happening on our watch.
Right.
You know?
So I personally don't have an AR. I actually don't even own a rifle.
I just told you I don't either.
Well, I know you're lying. But I don't even own a rifle. I've got a shotgun, a handgun, and a pellet gun. Those are the 3 guns I own, right?
My pellet gun will fuck some guys up, though.
It could. In my Red Ryder. I got a Red Ryder BB gun.
Is that Gammo gun a 22?
No. No, 144.
Imagine you shoot him with a pellet gun while you get your other gun ready.
Dude, it would be like a Monty Python thing. Of
First off,
it's just a flesh wound.
That 22 pellet gun will kill you.
It could. I mean, yeah.
I've seen guys take down coyotes with them.
Yeah.
They're
could.
badass.
Yeah.
I wish I had one.
I mean, it takes down game in the backyard pretty easily, so.
Fucking squirrels.
I don't think I'm going to fight the government off with my compound bow, but, I mean, if it came to that, I'll use any resource I have available, for sure, right?
Yeah.
So, like, you'll never see me do the whole, like, I lost all my shit in a boating accident or anything else, because that's the bitch move. That is a pussy move to make. If you really are pro 2A, you need to be taking the stance of, come and get them.
Yeah.
I have them. You may think you want them. Good luck.
Let's see what happens.
Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
Right? That's an actual, non-cowardly man, right? Or man or woman, doesn't matter. But that non-cowardly person.
And I think a lot of people don't realize, especially like in California and New York, like all of us rednecks out here, we take it pretty serious. And a lot of us can really shoot.
Yeah.
And a lot of us can really shoot well. Yeah. And they don't understand.
They may not realize that in California, the whole reason that like Russia's not landing on that beach
is because we got guns over here.
Is because they know that the Midwest is stock, locked, and ready to rock.
I think the people in California and Oregon, Washington should really understand that if Russia or China come here, they're all dead, and we're going to stop them at the mountains. Yeah. So maybe you should pull your heads out of your asses.
Well, and so here's the weird thing, though. Like, other governments that don't like the U.S.
We may let them have California. Be like, you know what? Let's let them blow that bitch up, and then we'll go in there and clean up the mess. Yeah. Maybe just, take it.
These people don't realize that, like, countries that hate the U.S., they hate the U.S., they don't hate Republicans. They don't hate Democrats. They don't hate Missouri residents.
Yeah.
They don't hate California residents. They hate Americans. We're all Americans.
Yeah, when they come here, they're not going to give you a free pass.
Yeah.
They're not going to be like, "Oh, you're from California? Okay, you know what? Just stay here.
Yeah.
We're going to go into the red states and kill those people. And then we'll be back and we can all join hands and sing Utopia."
Right. Like, Go look at 9/11. Did those terrorists ask what political party you were and told you, like, oh, you might not want to be on this flight? Their goal was to kill Americans.
Yeah.
And it never went farther than that. And so anybody who can't realize that, that's a huge freaking problem. Like, the goal is America first. And, yeah, you might not want guns, but don't worry, there's plenty of people that do. Don't try to infringe on the people that do, thinking that you're helping America, because you're not. You're actually making it very, very unsafe, even for you, to live in America the moment America becomes disarmed.
Yeah.
And also, like you had mentioned, thousands of people die through tragedy every day. Removing guns is not going to solve that problem. People die through tragedy because of hate, not because of access to weapons. And so the only way to resolve death from tragedy is
to stop hate.
Is to stop hate, and you'll never be like, hate has been here since the biblical times. So you'll never ever be able to stop hate. Don't waste time trying to chase weapons, because today it might be guns, which is a bad move for America. Tomorrow it might be rocks.
Yeah.
Like,
hate's. I think I've said this on the show. When Romans would take over a city, they would take the babies and throw them off the wall.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Like, people don't even do that now.
Right.
Like, if kids get killed in war, it's awful, but they're not going to the kid and killing the child.
Right.
You know what I mean? Hate is probably, or violence is probably less now than it was then in the grand scheme of things. So don't pretend like, taking away guns or doing anything is going to take away, hate and violence and evil in the world, because it's just not going to do it.
I think it's Jordan Peterson says that a dangerous man that is able to control himself is a much safer person than a man who has no clue how to be dangerous.
That's pretty deep.
Yeah.
Who says that?
I think it's Jordan Peterson that says that.
Is that correct?
Jordan Peterson. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think I'm probably paraphrasing it a little bit, but essentially what he's saying is if you don't know how to fix this, if you don't know when to use violence or when to use proper tactics to fix a situation, you are more dangerous than the guy who knows how to be violent and when to be violent, right?
Yeah.
So like
I think of
small scale, like someone breaks into, you take some really, really wimpy guy, doesn't know how to fight, doesn't know how to articulate a heated conversation, and does not own a weapon. That guy's fucked if his house gets broken into, right?
Yeah.
You take somebody else who owns a gun, knows how to use it, but also knows verbal jujitsu and can de-escalate a situation before it has to get violent. If that guy's house gets broken into, he stands a tenfold better chance of surviving, protecting his family, protecting his products, and essentially protecting the criminal too, right?
Yeah.
So
could maybe do something about it.
Right.
I think of veterans when you say that.
Exactly.
Like my father-in-law was in Vietnam. Okay.
Yeah.
His name's Joe Burns. He's a bad motherfucker.
Right.
He's got a Purple Heart. He's in his 70s now. If you knew him, like if you wouldn't think, like, he's the nicest, most genuine person you'd ever met.
Yeah.
But I bet if you crossed him and went into that house, you would have want nothing to do with that old man.
Right.
He would fuck you up.
Yeah.
You know? I mean he's just one of those guys.
I've physically, I've had the conversation with my wife that if I came downstairs to somebody in my house stealing my shit,
it's over.
So for me, I would be armed and I would be ready to shoot somebody. However, I'm not going to say I would have the conversation because it's not like we're going to sit down at the coffee table and talk.
You're going to say, hey, dude, what the fuck?
I'm going to give the guy orders and I'm going to give him a chance to follow those orders.
You better get the fuck out or we could all die.
And one of those orders is if you take one step my way or motion in any way that is dangerous, I will kill you, right? Like the goal is not to wait. Like I don't like the guys that are like, oh, break into my house and I'll kill you. No, the goal is not to kill them. The goal is to maintain your property and to maintain the safety of your family. And so, things happen fast and all that stuff. But I'm not going to go downstairs trigger happy, ready to just pop off somebody that might be in my house. It's going to be analyze what their intentions are, get them out of my house, and maintain the safety of my family.
Yeah, it's different. So Mitch has a 2-story house. You go out of your room and the guy's coming up the stairs. That guy's probably dead.
That's different.
That's different. He's coming. The boys are upstairs. That's the end of that.
Right.
You know what I mean? There are different situations. I don't want to say that intellect plays a role, but it does.
Yes.
And intellect can also be preparedness.
Right.
Even if you're not very intellectual, but you have thought about those things before they happen.
Yeah.
You're already one step closer to doing the right thing.
You are a man capable of dangerous things that is choosing not to.
Yeah.
You are much safer.
I mean, listen, I think about it. I think, okay, just like Mitch, it's weird he said that. Like, I think, okay, so if someone's in my basement, I'm doing this.
Right.
I have cameras on my house. If somehow someone gets in the living room, I'm doing this.
Right.
And I think of those situations. I don't think of those to be somebody that's, oh man, I can't wait to kill somebody that's in my house. No, I think about those things because I need to.
Yeah.
How
else do you know how to react?
I don't want to think about those things.
Yeah.
But I have a daughter and I want to protect her.
Yeah.
I need to know what I'm going to do before I do it in those situations.
Right.
And like when you take gun safety classes, there's a lot of different ones. There's concealed carry classes. There's home protection classes.
Right.
They talk about that same stuff.
Yeah.
They talk about, hey, if an intruder is doing this, you can't do X.
Right.
You should be doing Y.
Well, and even on the conceal carry thing, a lot of people conceal carry, and their MO is like, the moment shit goes down, my gun comes out. That's not my MO. Like, if I conceal carry, the first thing I'm doing is assessing the situation and saying, is it the right time to pull my gun, right? Because I've seen video after video after video where it looks like there's one assailant at first.
There's two.
And there's two, and the second one is waiting for that concealed carry guy to pull his weapon and then catch him off guard. Maybe he's behind him or something to that effect. And so I'm going to assess the situation and wait and learn as much as I can before I reveal to anybody that I'm armed.
Yeah.
And
well,
so
it's like if you're in a store and your wife and daughter are with you and someone comes in there, and I hate to think about this kind of stuff, but we have mass shootings. Right?
Yeah.
It happens. If you're in the store and your wife and daughter are in there with you and you hear pops, you do not just leave them and run to the situation.
Right.
You grab. First off, Janine knows I'm picking up my daughter and we're going to the back as fast as we can.
Right.
Or wherever I think is safe to go.
Yep.
Then I will come out there.
Right.
Okay. As soon as they are safe.
Well, that just happened in our school this year.
I'm okay. Okay. They're safe. I'm fine. I'm fine with taking on that responsibility myself.
Right.
And not putting them in danger or someone else in danger.
Right.
You know, you have to be aware, and we bring all that stuff up because that's not just home defense. It's not concealed carry. You should be thinking about that in every situation.
Right.
You know what I mean? It takes a lot of thought to, break all that kind of stuff down so that you know where you are when something happens.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a mental preparedness.
Yeah. And we talk about that on the show with business all the time.
Yeah.
Being prepared for whatever it takes. And if you're sitting on the couch not thinking about where am I going to be next week? Where am I going to be next month? If someone broke into my house, I'm doing this. I want to invest my money in this. And you're just sitting there looking at the TV and you're a zombie. Right. You're not doing it right.
Right. You're going to have a hard time finding success. And you're also going to, that type of person is going to be the type of person that when they see a successful person, they're going to think they got lucky.
And instead of working hard.
Yeah. And they're also going to chalk up all of their lack of success to, it just didn't work out. Cards didn't fall my way. No, you didn't make conscious decisions to make them fall your way.
And listen, when cards don't fall your way, don't just roll over.
Right.
Don't just fucking take it.
Yeah.
Move.
Reposition.
You don't have to. You can roll over and take it in that situation.
Yeah.
But that just means you need to be better in the next situation.
Right.
Now, look, there are outliers. There's 10% on one end and 10% on the other. And yes, those things do happen.
Yeah.
But we're trying to talk to the majority of people.
Yeah.
Here with business and success and
make
all those
policy around the majority, not the minority.
Exactly.
Same thing happens in your own head.
Which is the opposite of the Democratic Party. They want all the minorities to rule the majority, and that's not how it goes. But you have to. People take failure like it's their last option. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
These failures.
I failed. I guess I'm done.
These failures happened. I'm done. I can't do it.
Right.
We all fail. No one's perfect. There was one perfect motherfucker ever walked this planet, and he ain't here.
Yeah.
So just sack up and move the fuck on.
Except that you lost the battle.
Yeah.
Reposition, win the war.
Keep going.
Yeah.
You're gonna fail at stuff.
Yeah.
You're gonna piss away $5,000 on something that you didn't see coming.
Yeah.
Don't fold.
Right.
Keep going.
Yeah.
I think that's the problem with a lot of Americans now is, like the men that fought in World War II, was it the baby boomers? That was before the baby boomers.
Right.
They were tough because they never gave up.
Right.
And this country's lost that.
Yeah.
They didn't care. They just moved on to the next deal.
Well, and you're going to, that's just the cycle of the world population. You're going to see another world war at some time. I'm not saying it's happening.
It may be happening right now.
Yeah, it might be.
Maybe. I don't know.
But
I can't tell.
I'll say this. I'm a little worried if you don't see a world war, because that means you're going to see like
complacency. Complacency.
The whole idea of the one world government and that whole conversation. Like if you don't see world wars, then maybe that's a possibility that it's pushing more towards a one world government. So
we will never see that in our lifetime.
I hope not.
There's no way.
But sometimes it takes like look what happened America on September 12th, 2001.
Yeah.
More flags were on display than ever.
Yeah.
Right? So sometimes it takes tragedy to remind you about really where you stand.
Well, it takes tragedy for you to realize when things are going good, people get this shroud over their eyes and they don't realize that the world's a shithole.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Especially in America.
Yeah.
The greatest country on the planet.
Yep.
Okay? People get this shroud and they want to nitpick this and they want to nitpick that and they want to complain about this and we need to be fucking doing that and blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden, boom, motherfuckers get killed because they're tired of your ass complaining about shit.
Yep.
They know that you have it good and they're pissed about it.
That was us on September 10th, 2001.
Yeah, everyone's having a good time. And then 11th is Panic fucking City. And then 12th is, oh, we're united now.
Yep.
I mean, I don't... You know, that was probably the most united moment in our lifetimes.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You know, we don't have... That's our Pearl Harbor.
Yeah.
I guess when people were like, oh, yeah, okay, fuck everybody, we're coming to get you.
America first.
Yeah. We don't need another one of those moments of death, but we need another one of those moments of unity.
A reminder, right?
Yeah.
And what's sad is a lot of times reminder comes through tragic events.
Yeah, I hope that doesn't happen, but
yeah,
we need something.
Yeah.
Something's got to bring us together. We're going to be in deep shit.
Well, I think we've let this show run on.
Why didn't you tell
enough.
me? I wasn't even watching.
Yeah, well.
Fucking 120.
Yeah. So, guys, if you like what you're hearing, please do us a favor and help share the show. Make sure to leave us a 5-star review on whatever platform you're listening on. And until next time, guys, we will see you later.
Love you guys.